the upgrades, continuing upgrades not only in our equipment, but bridging the gaps between the different horizons in our modernization timeframe and the concomitant upgrading of skills of our people, both in the civilian side of the Defense Department and the 5 agencies. Realizing too that our territorial integrity may be subverted by outside threats through internal security challenges, we continue also to work closely with our partner agencies in government to maintain internal peace and stability. That being said, the President also instructed us to look for non-traditional partners in alliances for upgrading our defensive capabilities and our capabilities to predict and analyze trends in order to prepare for any eventuality which may befall our country and need the use of Department of National Defense resources in the future. We also are in the process too of looking for partners, not only for pure defensive purposes, but also for both convergence of both the economic potentials and security potentials of growth industries, particularly in technology and in cyber. And we are expanding also the scope of our self-reliant defense posture or program in order to have also the possibility of cross-border investments in disruptive and emergent technologies. As we know, the threats to the country become more asymmetric. We need stronger, real-time, and fully analyzed convergence of information from point of occurrence up to the decision-making process in as much real time as possible. We also are, because the strongest factor is the human element, we also are strongly into efforts to upgrade the morale and welfare of our men and women in uniform in the Department of National Defense. This includes our retirees and veterans, whom we are mandated to care for. And the President's instructions are that their welfare be made paramount in our mandate to uplift the lives and to continue the care, particularly of those who cannot care for themselves anymore, and to ensure that the well-being, safety, and health of their families, whom often these people are detached from because of deployments, are well taken care of. We also care for the educational opportunities of those of our brothers and sisters in uniform who have sacrificed themselves, the benefit of the service, and those who are continuing in the service, because they form a very disciplined and motivated pool of talent from which not only the defense sector can derive human capital from, but also other technological industries with a disciplined workforce. So these are some of the initiatives, and I forgot to mention too, our program management skills and project management skills to ensure that each and every item of equipment that we acquire is integrated into a system with synergies, and we receive and program adequate resources for the optimal utilization of each and every item of equipment for its life cycle. And we are slowly getting the management practices and our resource management, contracting, acquisitions capabilities in order to have an optimal balance of much necessary resources at the best possible value for our people, knowing that it is not cheap and defense is everybody's business.
Thank you, Secretary Teodoro. We'll move to Department of Foreign Affairs under Secretary Morales. ASEAN leaders have emphasized the need to reinforce ASEAN centrality, which views ASEAN as the dominant regional platform for overcoming common challenges and engaging with external powers. How does this assertion complement the country's independent foreign policy?
Thank you very much, Asek Daphne, for your question. First of all, I would like to extend my gratitude to you for inviting us here. And I'm honored to share this panel with distinguished heads of agencies. Before I answer the question, we all know that the President has already stated clearly an independent foreign policy based on our national interest. And since the President's last State of the Nation address, the DFA has already facilitated and undertaken landmark bilateral and multilateral engagements underscored by the President's clearly defined foreign policy to be a friend to all and an enemy to none. And one of our engagements, which is very constant since its founding, is ASEAN. And President Ferdinand Edwalin Marcos was our president when this was founded. And since that time, it is now 55, almost 56 years since ASEAN was founded. It has proven to be a very effective regional organization in the maintenance of peace and security and intensifying cooperation in the region. What does ASEAN centrality mean? It means simply that ASEAN is the driving force. It is the driver's seat. It determines the agenda and how to engage with our external partners. And in our view, Asek Daphne, this driving force mechanism means that the ASEAN will serve to balance, will serve to engage the external major powers, at least as it has been doing now in the ASEAN economic summits, East Asian Summit, as well as in the ASEAN Regional Forum. And it serves to balance the engagement of the major powers in the region. We are now able to meet with them, advance our interests, which are consistent with the interest of our other ASEAN member countries. Of course, centrality does not mean unanimity in views. We have different perspectives, different conditions, concerns, but the things that bring us together enable us to deal with big and major powers as a cohesive and single entity which has greater force and greater respect and greater bargaining power. So it is, in our view, consistent with our independent foreign policy when we say that ASEAN centrality is a core principle, a goal, and a guiding vision and principle of the ASEAN. It is consistent with our independent foreign policy with friends to all. As ASEAN is a friend to all, it is intended to be open, transparent, inclusive, and rules-based. And Secretary Teodoro mentioned earlier about our defense, our promotion of our sovereign rights, as well as territorial integrity in defense of a rules-based international system. Precisely, the ASEAN centrality is a rules-based system, and it is something that we are promoting, that we are espousing in bilateral, multilateral, regional fora, that we are for a rules-based international order. Thank you.
Thank you, Yusek Morales. Now for the Department of Justice, the President said, isa sa mga dahilan ng pagtaas ng presyo ay mga smugglers, hoarders, at nagmamanipula ng presyo ng produktong agrikultural. Hinahabol at ihahabla natin sila. Sadyang hindi tama ang kanilang gawain at hindi rin ito tugma sa ating magandang layunin. Pandaraya ang kanilang ginagawa. Napapahamak hindi lamang ang mga magsasaka kundi na rin ang mga mamimili. Kaya hindi na rin papayagan ang ganitong kalakaran. Bilang na lang ang mga araw ng mga smugglers at mga hoarders na yan. A very firm statement from the President. Of course, he said it much better than I did. Tell us more about the department's initiative in addressing this problem.
Good afternoon. Thank you very much, Assistant Secretary Daphne, for the opportunity to be present here and to explain further the initiatives that are being undertaken by all the departments after the guidance was made by the President Ferdinand Bongbong Marcos Jr. during his SONA. In respect to the fight against smuggling, the Office of Competition in the Department of Justice had long studied this matter. In fact, we have already a report on onion and garlic smuggling a long time ago, and it's a matter of connecting the dots in respect to the results of the congressional hearings that were undertaken by Congresswoman Stella Kimbo. And the idea here is to initiate now the actual criminal investigation and prosecution. For that purpose, the good Secretary Jesus Crispin Boying Remulla, has already instructed one of our undersecretaries, Undersecretary Injansi, to head a task force. And I was asked as the head of the legal cluster to assist him. This task force is meant to ensure and to invite all relevant government agencies in a comprehensive discussion as well as fact-finding investigation in order to ferret out the truth and to ensure that criminal liability, civil liability could be considered. We intend to initiate the fact-finding investigation by the convening of the task force, and we intend to ask all relevant agencies that have direct participation or stake in the importation of agricultural goods. That would mean that we have to include the Department of Agriculture as the head agency of the Bureau of Plant Industry, the Department of Finance as the head agency of Bureau of Customs, and the law enforcement agencies, as well as our own the National Bureau of Investigation as the lead fact-finding investigation. This is actually not new to us because during the oil spill in Mindoro, we also initiated a fact-finding investigation, and Secretary Galvez then, Charlie Galvez was the OIC of the DND, and he was very instrumental in ensuring that the necessary recovery and rehabilitation efforts on that oil spill was undertaken. And we are proud to say that we have already filed a case for the first time in respect to a maritime disaster like that. For the first time, we were able to file a case for falsification of public document, use of falsified document, and perjury against government officials and the ship owner as well as the ship agents. And new other cases could be initiated. In respect to the agricultural product smuggling, there is a directive to go hard on the hoarders, smugglers, and those that manipulate the prices of the basic necessities or of the basic commodities. We are not gonna be weakened by the so-called lack of action before in respect to smugglers and hoarders. We intend to go all out and to explore the full range of criminal actions that are available to us. Not only smuggling, hoarding, price manipulation, but potentially a non-bailable offense of economic sabotage against all of them. If the evidence will so warrant and whoever would be responsible, we assure the general public, our countrymen, that we will go after them with the in the strongest possible sense, the filing of the gravest crime that may be charged, and that could be economic sabotage. Thank you.
Thank you, Undersecretary Vasquez. The next question is for the advisors on national security and peace, reconciliation, and unity. The President said, we have incorporated capacity building and social protection into our reintegration programs to guarantee full decommissioning of former combatants. Through community development and livelihood programs, the barangay development and enhanced comprehensive local integration programs have been effective in addressing the root cause of conflict in the countryside. To complete this reintegration process, I will issue, he said, a proclamation granting amnesty to rebel returnees. I ask Congress to support us in this endeavor. End of quote. Please describe to us your organization's efforts in helping with this mission of the President. This is for both Secretary Año and Secretary Galvez.
Thank you, Daphne. First of all, we thank the President for his announcement that he will be issuing a proclamation granting amnesty to all rebel returnees, as this highlights the government's commitment to achieving peace. The issuance of this presidential proclamation will be an important step to finally end this communist armed conflict, and this will pave the way for the mass surrender of the NPA remnants in the remaining guerrilla fronts of the CPP, NPA, and DF. Under our Constitution, the President has the power to grant amnesty with the concurrence of a majority of all the members of Congress. Hence, we have already an existing draft, but we will be working closely with the Office of the OPAPRO, DND, DILG, DOJ, to come up with a comprehensive draft that will suit the requirement of the President, and as well as his intent, so that this amnesty shall comply to the requirements and to provide these grantees with full benefits, and as well as the other amenities that will be given. Marami tayong tinanong ng mga rebel returnees, sabi nila, maraming gusto mag-surrender pero nag-aalala sila sa mga kaso na nakapatong sa kanilang mga ulo. No? So, kung makakaroon tayo ng amnesty, then mawawala na yung mga agam-agam na yan. And finally, we will achieve the lasting peace. And we would like to take advantage of this because I would like to thank the President for his continuing support to the National Task Force to End the Local Communist Armed Conflict in the flagship programs like the support to the Barangay Program, which deliver much-needed development projects to the barangay that are recently cleared, and also the enhanced comprehensive local integration program, which supports their integration of rebel returnees to mainstream society. His personal commitment for these programs means that the President is truly determined to address the root causes of armed conflict in the countryside. So once again, I will say that this amnesty will be a game changer. And finally, with this amnesty, we can now have permanent, lasting peace in our country, particularly if we are talking about the communist armed conflict.
Thank you, Secretary Año and Secretary Galvez.
Thank you, Daphne, for inviting us here and also to translate the commitment of our President. And I would like to thank the President for his unwavering commitment to the peace process. In fact, yung mga statement niya na ginawa sa SONA, most of our partners, peace partners, are very happy, particularly when he announced the proclamation of amnesty. Yun po ang nung nag-uusap po kami ng National Amnesty Commission. Yun po ang sinasabi nila talagang yung crowning glory ng reconciliation and unity. Without amnesty, yung political at saka civil rights of our former rebels and combatants will not be restored. And with that, nakikita natin maganda po yung yung proclamation, yung amnesty, talagang lahat po ng ating mga partners, including international partners, are very, very happy. Yung sa transformation po ng, ating former combatants, napakaganda po ng mga binitawan ng salita ng ating mahal na presidente dahil talagang ang commitment niya po talaga ay talagang napakaganda sa transformation ng mga combatants, families, and saka communities. And also providing support through our DBM, yung ating pamana project for the reconstruction of those conflict-affected areas that have been heavily damaged by conflict. So, magpapasalamat po kami kay Secretary Anyo, ang ating pinaka-executive director and deputy director ng ating National Task Force, LCAC, and we are so happy at napakaganda po ng SONA na binigay po ng ating mahal na presidente. Maraming salamat at mabuhay po tayo.
Thank you, Secretary Galvez. Now let's move on. This is the next question for the AFP and the PNP. Strengthening and modernizing the police and the AFP have also been mentioned by the President in the SONA. This is to ensure that we remain effective in maintaining peace and order and capable of defending our sovereignty. Describe to us the improvements in equipment and facilities that your respective groups have gained the past year. What technological advancements are we looking forward to in the future under the PBBM administration? Question 4. Let's start with AFP Chief General Bronner.
Yes, good afternoon, Daphne, and good afternoon to my fellow panelists. Well, this afternoon I'm seated together with my immediate boss, the Secretary of National Defense, Secretary Teodoro, within kicking distance, so to speak. We are very fortunate, Daphne, that our President is very supportive of our modernization efforts. And for the recent years, we have procured a lot of modern equipment. If I may mention some of this, we have Black Hawk helicopters, frigates, close air support aircraft, air defense surveillance radars, unmanned aerial vehicles or drones, multi-role fighters, corvettes, anti-submarine helicopters, light tanks, sniper weapons, tactical radios, amphibious assault vehicles, civil engineering equipment, pistols, and more of this equipment. For the third horizon of the modernization program, we are looking at acquiring multi-role fighter aircraft, naval assets, command and control or C2 systems, shore-based deterrent capabilities, submarines, and the like. But one thing that we would like to really develop in the next years is the capability for cyber warfare. And this is one capability where we could excel in the armed forces of the Philippines, and we could be at par with even the modern countries. But aside from the equipment acquisition, we are also looking into the training of our personnel in order for us to be able to really cope with the demands of the regional threats, and also to make sure that we will be able to use the equipment, the modern equipment, properly. Kailangan po nating alagaan din itong mga modern equipment. We have to sustain them properly. And lastly, we will also help in the propagation of the archipelagic mindset that our President mentioned, not only in the SONA, but during my assumption as the Chief of Staff, we will help our citizens develop that mindset of patriotism, being able to defend our country from any threats, whether it is man-made or natural. Thank you.
Thank you, General Bronner. At this point, let's hear from the Chief Public Information Officer of the PNP, General Maranan.
Yes, ma'am. Good afternoon. To everyone, good afternoon. I was introduced earlier as the Chief PNP, but I'm
My
only
mistake,
the
I'm
public
sorry.
information officer, ma'am, because the Chief PNP is attending an equally important meeting also in Malacanang. So for the Philippine National Police, we have what we call the Capability Enhancement Program, wherein we are focusing on acquisition and upgrading of our organizational equipment, and we call it our move, shoot, communicate, and investigate capabilities. And we'd like to thank our President for providing us funds to achieve our fill-up percentage requirement for the year. And we would like to report that on our move capability, we were able to achieve or attain a 54% percentage fill-up of our requirement for the year. And for our shoot capability, we are nearing our 100% percentage fill-up. We were able to achieve 99% for this year. And for our communicate capability, we were able to achieve our target for the year. And now we have 64% percentage fill-up. And on our investigative capabilities, we were able to achieve a 52% percentage fill-up. So with that, we can now effectively perform our mandate as the primary law enforcement agency of our country. And we'd like also to report that we were able to finish 140 infrastructure projects comprising mostly of construction of police station in Parplang area. So ngayon po, mas madali nang maabot ng ating mga kababayan yung ating police sapagkat marami na tayong naipatayong police station, lalo-lalo na doon sa mga geographically isolated and disadvantaged areas. So with that, we would like to, on behalf of our GPNP and the 228 strong Philippine National Police members, gusto natin pasalamatan po ang ating Pangulong Marcos for that.
Thank you, General Maranan. Let's ask our Presidential Advisor on Peace, Reconciliation, and Unity again, Secretary Galvez. The President said, "We are proud of the progress that the BARM has taken. It will be self-governing, progressive, and effective." Tell us about your work that your office has put into this, or this in order to achieve progress that the President has mentioned. Pakikwento naman po ang tagumpay ng BARM.
Gaya po ng sabi ng ating mahal na Presidente sa State of the Nation na address SONA nitong nakaraang Lunes, we are very proud of the progress of the BARM at yung kada yapak natin tungo sa kapayapaan at kaunlaran ay kalakip nito ang hard work at dedikasyon ng parehong panig ng gobyerno at ng ating kapatid na Muslim na Mindanao. It's very critical that we build on the peace gains and ensure the continuing progress such as the passage of the remaining priority codes. Pagkaalam po natin, meron tayong tinatawag na 7 codes na gagawin ng ating Bangsamoro Transition Authority, and we are already more than halfway. Nagawa na nila yung electoral code. Is very important yung sa election, first election natin sa BARM this coming 2025. At ongoing ang kanilang electoral code and also yung IP code and the revenue code. Ang napakagandang nagawa po ng ating mahal na Presidente ay nung 2 buwan bago nung after nung kanyang assumption ay nabuo niya po yung napakagandang Unified Bangsamoro Transition Authority. Unang-una sa lahat, first time na nagkasama-sama ang MNLF at saka MILF na 46 years na hindi nagkikita, tsaka talaga nakita natin hindi nagkakasama sa ganitong sitwasyon. Nung kanilang inauguration sa nung August 12, sama-sama po ang ating mga MLF brothers at saka MILF brothers na nanumpa po sa ating mahal na Presidente. At ang kagandahan po na nakita natin, na unified natin ang buong Bangsamoro. Kasama na ang mga tinatawag nating ating mga moral leaders, including yung ating mga royal families, ay nagkaroon ng tinatawag nating iisang samahan doon sa BTA. At sa ngayon, sa normalisasyon, nakita natin meron na po tayo na decommission na more than 24,000 combatants. At gusto po namin i-announce na this coming August 3, meron po tayong 1,300 na combatants na i-decommission para makumpleto po yung tinatawag natin yung mga first phase, second phase, and third phase na 26,000. At next year, at sa susunod na mga taon, 14,000 na lang po o tinatawag natin yung 35% na lang ang natin. Ano pa ang gagawin natin sa Bangsamoro? Yung ano po natin, ang ating priority, yun talagang yung socio-economic. Dahil kasi kalakip ng amnesty, dapat ang kanilang mga pamumuhay, yung mga ating mga combatants, ay mapaayos ang kanilang kabuhayan. At sa nakikita po natin ngayon, malaki po ang naging impact, even though na-disrupt ng COVID-19 yung ating implementation. Napakaganda po ng performance ng BARM kasi noong 2021, 7.5 ang kanilang GDP. Noong mga 24 years, yung ARM, ang ano po nila, pinaka-highest ng GDP is only 3%. Sa ngayon, pumapalo na po sila sa 7.5%. And 36% ng aqua resources na nakukuha ng mga fisheries, galing po yun sa BARM. 36%. At ngayon, nakikita natin yung kanilang poverty rate ay bumababa na po. Dati, ang kanilang poverty rate ay more or less 56%. Ang Lanao del Sur po ngayon ay nasa single digit na po, 9%. Ang Sulu, maganda na ang Sulu. Dati, na-assign po ako doon. Halos araw-araw, encounter po kami. Ngayon, ang ganda ng Sulu. Ang tawag nga namin, may nightlife na. Dahil dati noon, wala po talaga nightlife. 2 o'clock, sarado na po ang lahat ang bahay. Ngayon po, marami pong mga tinatawag na bakasyonista na pwede na po silang magbike. At saka doon po sa mga tinatawag na mga tourist spots sa mga beaches ay ang ating mga sundalo at saka ang ating mga ibang mga turista ay sama-sama po doon. Ang Tawi-Tawi, nakita natin, ang ganda ng Tawi-Tawi, napakatahimik. Ang Basilan, ganun din po. At ang Maguindanao, nakikita po namin, maganda po ang magiging kalagayan. We are very thankful that we have a very genuine president na talagang sa kanyang pagupo, talagang binuo niya at unify niya ang Bangsamoro. Maraming salamat po.
Thank you, Secretary Galvez. At sana tuloy-tuloy na talaga ang kapayapaan and progress sa BARM. Thank you. This is for DBM. Harmonizing national and local government priorities is one of the administration's thrust. Is the administration considering simultaneously implementing the full devolution with the enactment of the LGU Income Classification Act? What are the other efforts of the government to prepare and capacitate LGUs in their eventual takeover of devolved functions and services?
Thank you for the question. At the outset, it may be noted that full devolution effort and the initiative to institutionalize automatic income classification of LGUs are different undertakings, but then both or the same can be pursued simultaneously. Automatic income classification, or the act that's intended to be enacted, aims to provide an equitable and rational system of regular income classification of LGUs that will reflect automatically, factually, and realistically their respective financial capabilities, consistent, of course, with prevailing economic conditions and even peace and order conditions. With this, these are updated on a regular basis, and this could help them in among 3 ways. For example, on their financial capability to undertake development initiatives, and then secondly, that will also help determine on how big or the distribution of financial assistance, grants, and aids coming from the national government or even from donors. And lastly, of course, this should help them determine such types of compensation adjustments for LGU personnel based on their personal services limitations as prescribed, of course, by Republic Act number 7160 and the salary schedule that are implemented for different types of LGUs based again on the prevailing salary standardization law. All in all, of course, both automatic income classification and devolution can complement one another by determining what kind of phase and strategies that can be implemented for a specific LGU for different types of income classification. In the end, of course, this will make a policy on distribution of, for example, the growth equity fund for with a more data, evidence, and scientific-based basis for determining assistance and grants to LGUs. On the part of the other agencies of government like DILG together with DBM, capacity building will continue in terms of good governance, in terms of financial capability, like how to get financing outside their regular NTAs to help them finance their other development initiatives. That's all. Thank you.
Thank you, Yusek Basilio. Now, this is for Anti-Red Tape Authority, Director General Perez. Since assuming office, the President has had 30 agreements signed with foreign investors. Per release data, these agreements are anticipated to facilitate 64.27 billion US dollars worth of investments and approximately 175,000 job employments. What steps is ARTA taking to ensure that these agreements and investment pledges are realized?
Maraming salamat, Daphne. Unang-una, nais ko pong batiin ang ating mga kasamahan dito ngayon na nanonood. Aking pong mga kasamahan sa Anti-Red Tape Authority, the young men and women of ARTA who have been really helping us follow the directives of the President. I wish to thank the President for mentioning ARTA in SONA when he said that we will embrace digitalization for ease of doing business and to promote bureaucracy. Under the Marcos administration's socio-economic agenda, one of which is bureaucratic efficiency. The President is very clear in his directive, and I've experienced this when I had that rare opportunity of attending cabinet meetings and listening to his speeches. He always emphasizes streamlining and digitalization of government processes. Because businessmen, before they decide to engage business or invest in any country, would always think about ease of doing business. Kasi pag na-address po natin yung ease of doing business and we promote bureaucratic efficiency, we should be able to address red tape and corruption. And the records would show that when we are able to streamline and digitalize processes, we are able to cut red tape in a substantial amount. Marami pong ginagawa ang Anti-Red Tape Authority at following the directives of the President and also, of course, in our meetings with businessmen, chambers of commerce, the number one concern is really about ease of doing business. That's why our main, the focus of our job at the Anti-Red Tape Authority is first, during the pandemic, we initiated together with the DICT the joint memorandum circular on shared tower to ensure that there is ease of doing business in the construction and maintenance of towers that will ensure stronger and faster internet connection. And we've all witnessed that during the pandemic, ang kahalagahan ng internet connection. That's why ito po, kasama natin yung mga telco companies, tower companies. We had 2 workshops already. Biro yung mga competitors, they shared information because they really want to help this country. And the President signed Executive Order 32, following the Bayanihan Act, that extended the validity of that JMC that we signed together with the DJs. Malaki po ang pasasalamat talaga ng mga stakeholders, kababayan natin sa ating Presidente. Because, whenever I attend, palagi ko po na-feel yung ating Presidente. Palagi niyang bilang isang congressman, senador, governor, and now President, he really feels the pulse of the people. Every time a proposal is given to him and discussed during cabinet meetings, he will always think about, dapat hindi natin pinapahirapan yung taong bayan. Dapat walang layer. Dapat walang red tape. Yun po ang ating, kaya makakaasa po ang ating mga kababayan sa pamumuno po nating Presidente. At we at the Anti-Red Tape Authority, as the agency under the Office of the President, tasked to implement the policy on ease of doing business and Anti-Red Tape Authority. Makakaasa po ang mga businessmen na dito po sa Pilipinas merong ease of doing business. That's why records will show. Ito pong sa pag-implement natin ng Business One-Stop Shop on shared towers, World Bank figures showed that there was an increase in the permit for the construction of towers before JMC from 9,000 to 36,000 towers constructed all over the country. On the setting up, establishment of, and operationalization of business one-stop shop together with the DICT, the program on IPPLS, or Integrated Business Permitting and Licensing System, which the DICT developed, we were able to implement that in 1 year. And so those LGUs na pag-set up and operationalize an electronic business one-stop shop, that means that you can have your permit, business permit, renewed in just 1 day. Sa Valenzuela, Marikina, Navotas, 30 minutes lang po, you can get your business permit because you can apply for business permit online, end-to-end, from the comfort of your home and in your offices. Hindi na po kailangan pumila. So you can file your application online. Even payment is done online. Even the printing of business permit is being done online. So for those LGUs, at least 9 LGUs, 8 LGUs in Metro Manila that have been able to set up and operationalize a business one-stop shop, isa po yung naging experience. Substantial increase in business registration and revenue collection. So really, to battle red tape and corruption, we have to streamline and digitalize processes because through the digital platform, there is less human intervention. Ang ating pong taong bayan makakaasa na dapat wala ng red tape, wala ng korupsyon dahil hindi na po kailangan ng fixer, hindi na po kailangan ng padrino because the ease of doing business assures them that once the application is filed complete, there is a standard processing time of 3, 7, 20 working days subject to automatic approval. Ngayon, kung meron pa rin po kayong problema na experience, report it to us, email it to us at complaints@arta.gov.ph at makakaasa po kayo ng Anti-Red Tape Authority sa pamumuno ng ating mahal na Presidente. We are serious about implementing this, and the best way to battle red tape and corruption, to promote ease of doing business, is to streamline and digitalize government processes.
Thank you, Director General Perez. And before we end, let's go to Department of Information and Communications Technology, Secretary Ivan Uy. Alongside the promotion of digital connectivity is the need to ensure cybersecurity, which of course our AFP chief had mentioned where we could shine. In this regard, please provide details on measures to ensure that cyberspace is secure and to prepare the government and critical infrastructure from cyber attacks. What is your assessment of the country's present cybersecurity capabilities, and how do we intend to improve this? Would you please cite examples and concrete actions of how to safeguard critical IT infrastructures, including those of government offices, banks, telecommunication companies, and airports? That's a lot.
Thank you very much, Daphne. Actually, there is a serious gap in cybersecurity talents all over the world. In fact, as of today, there are 2 million job vacancies just for cybersecurity in the world. 2 million. And why is that? Because during the pandemic, a lot of brick and mortar businesses suddenly shifted online because they had no choice. Everybody's on lockdown. They had to move online. But when they move online, they move so rapidly that cybersecurity became an afterthought. They did not really think about it because they really needed just to survive the pandemic. And so when they shifted to online transactions, online services, e-commerce, that gap was not addressed. And because of this, what has happened is that although there was a rapid increase in online transactions and e-commerce and digital payments, there was also a concomitant increase in cybercrime incidents because the cyber threat actors found suddenly a fertile ground of potential victims where they can exploit in order to access funds and do a lot of their fraudulent activities. So because of this, cybersecurity has never been more important and it has to be addressed very quickly. So we are working with our law enforcement agencies with our security officials in order to enhance our capabilities, both in the infrastructure side as well in the skills and capacity building side. We are accelerating our training programs for cybersecurity professionals. In fact, many are already being certified into the cybersecurity profession as we speak. However, there's still the big demand, as I said, 2 million jobs worldwide. We are also working with many of our international partners. These are multilateral agencies, as well as the private sector that provides software and other training for cybersecurity professionals. So in our interaction with our counterparts like in the ASEAN or in the EU, and in many of our treaty allies, we're working on enhancing our cybersecurity posture and being able to provide better defenses, especially on our critical infrastructure. And you've mentioned quite a few of them there. Perhaps what would need to be done is currently the approach on the cybersecurity has been disparate and disconnected. So many of the agencies have invested in cybersecurity platforms, but the coverage is quite limited. So we need to really work together to see how all these cybersecurity capability can be better synchronized and effectively protect us, basically create a cyber defense capability. So we already prepared our cybersecurity plan, which we presented to the Cabinet recently, and it's awaiting final approval. With the cybersecurity plan, it actually identifies the areas where the critical infrastructures that need to be secured and what particular aggregation of agencies that will be addressing that on the civilian side and on the military side. And then how all of us will work together and coordinate our efforts in defending our country. As most of us have seen today in warfare, the first attack is not done with a bullet or with a missile. It's done in cyberspace. And because of that, I think it's really a big concern worldwide that cybersecurity should play a very, very dominant role. Because when you launch a missile and you hit the target is just one building or a few buildings. That's the damage that you cause. When you launch a cyber attack and you shut down the entire financial system of the country, the damage and the impact is many, many, many times bigger. And therefore, that is where we're looking at how we need to put the importance in securing our cyberspace. Thank you.
Thank you, Secretary Ivan Uy, for laying down the importance of synchronized and not fragmented cybersecurity efforts of all our government agencies. Also, I would like to add, happy birthday. It's his birthday today. Happy birthday, Secretary Ivan. Okay, we still have one more question for DILG. Bidang-bida pa rin sa SONA ng Pangulo ang BIDA program o Buhay Ingatan, Droga'y Ayawan program. Ayawan program. What has been the approach of DILG in the campaign against illegal drugs as per the President's directives?
Thank you, and once again, good afternoon, everyone. Taking our cue from the President and to be faithful with our mission, which is to ensure peace and order and public safety and security, the DILG came up with a flagship program on its anti-illegal drugs campaign, which covers both supply reduction and demand reduction. The BIDA program, Buhay Ingatan, Droga'y Ayawan, covers three aspects. Number one, prevention and health promotion, because the illegal drugs problem is not just a peace and order problem, but also a health problem. The second one is law enforcement. And the third aspect is penology, reintegration, and rehabilitation. Law enforcement, of course, would cover supply reduction. The objective of which is to decrease the volume of drugs in the market, while demand reduction would aim to decrease the number of individuals using illegal drugs or are involved in illegal drugs. So the Philippine National Police and other law enforcement agencies have really tightened their operations against illegal drugs during the time that the President assumed office. And it resulted to more than 21,000 operations, apprehending like more than 26,000 people with a drug haul costing more than 20 billion pesos. That's the supply reduction part, which will have a no let up per the instruction of the President and the Secretary of the Interior and Local Government. On the demand reduction side, this will be a whole of nation approach, which will ensure consistency and sustainability of the programs that we do. This will involve all levels of government, the national government, the provinces, cities, municipalities, and more importantly, the barangays. It will involve all sectors of society, the labor sector, the youth. We will knock on the doors of our universities and colleges, big businesses. And for your information, just recently, the DILG had a memorandum of agreement with the Philippine Basketball Association because we want to have our basketball players be the brand ambassadors for the BIDA program. We have inked a memorandum of understanding with 33 big businesses because we want to push for a drug-free workplace. And in the coming days, we will partner with national government agencies and, as I mentioned, universities and colleges to make sure that our schools are drug-free. So it will be a no let up, it will not be a ningas kugon effort on the part of the DLG and the local government units. And we make sure that all our anti-illegal drug abuse committees down to the barangay level will be functional. On the part of rehabilitation and reintegration, we look at the numbers. More than 30% of those who are in the BJMP jails, Bureau of Jail Management, Penology jails, are recidivists or second-time offenders. There could be a reason why there is this much second-time offenders. And when we look at our data, it came out that paglabas nila doon sa kanilang sa kulungan, walang sasalo sa kanila. But these are people who are really bent on turning the page, so to speak. Gusto na nila magbago. Pero walang sasalo. Kaya nakikipag-usap yung DILG sa ating mga industries, sa big businesses, na kung maaari, after the persons who are in jail have been trained with respect to certain skills, our big businesses, our industries would also take them as part of their labor force. This will ensure that they will be properly mainstreamed in society. So these are some of the things that we are doing about the BIDA program. And if you have noticed, in the past months, the Secretary have been all around the country attending launching of the BIDA program, participating in fund run, and even Zumba, just to generate interest into our fight against illegal drugs. As I mentioned, this will be a consistent and sustainable effort. We cannot afford to lie low and be complacent. We cannot afford to do this on a seasonal basis, because if we do that, before we know it, like a thief in the night, the drug users and the drug syndicates will come and steal our loved ones from us, will come and steal our children from us, will come and steal our barangays one by one from us. So this should require a whole of nation approach to be successful.
Thank you, Yusek Iringan, for explaining the BIDA program. Let me try that again. Buhay Ingatan, Droga'y Ayawan program. There you have it, ladies and gentlemen, the Good Governance, Peace and Security Cluster para sa mapayapa, ligtas at maayos na bagong Pilipinas. Thank you for joining us these past 2 days as we dove deeper into President Ferdinand Marcos Jr.'s 2023 State of the Nation address. This has been Daphne Osenia Paez for the 2023 Post-SONA discussions. Mabuhay po tayong lahat at sabi nga ng ating Pangulo, nandito na ang bagong Pilipinas.